Hi, I'm Matt Kim, and welcome to News, Games, and More, IGN's daily news show, right here every day, weekday, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Before we get started, if you're watching us on YouTube, you should see an attached charity module where you can donate directly to the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, which we highly recommend. Otherwise, check out the description for more info on today's show. Joining me today are Miranda Sanchez,
Hello.
Casey DeFritas,
Hey.
and Seth Macy.
Oh yeah.
And now, before we get into the show proper, we did get some breaking news, a Summer of Gaming update. I know a lot of you have been wondering when our new revised dates are, and we finally have an update. And here it is. IGN Summer of Gaming has been delayed and will now begin on June 10th. Our IGN Expo events, which is where you'll find all of IGN's exclusives, will now take place across 4 days, June 10th, 11th, 12th, and the 15th. Earlier this week, we announced that IGN Summer of Gaming would restart on June 8th. However, to allow both IGN staff and viewers to respect the funeral of George Floyd, we have made the decision to push back the event a little further. And so now it begins on Wednesday, June 10th. So that's exciting. But now that the update is there, let's get into the show. Sony fined 3.5 million Australian dollars for misleading Australian consumers. Sony was fined by the Australian courts over the company's digital refund policy after customers brought forward that it was unfair and, quote, faulty. Sony initially declined to offer refunds for two reasons. According to PlayStation, digital games are not eligible for refunds, and refunds aren't offered after 14 days past the purchase dates. The Australian Consumer Court said that this was not cool.
Was that in quotes?
That is not in quotes. I made that
Not
up.
cool, bro.
No, sorry. The real quote
Big
is
paraphrase.
consumer guarantee rights do not expire after a digital product has been downloaded, and certainly do not disappear after 14 days or any other arbitrary date claimed by a game store or developer, said the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission Chair Rod Sims. Thoughts? Anyone? That's a lot of Australian dollars.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Are we going to get the same treatment over here in the US?
I don't
'Cause-
know.
No, I don't believe so. I think this is a
So-
specific citing of a specific Australian rule.
So, on one hand, that's awesome, but I wonder what games everyone was demanding refunds for that made it such a big issue. I know Anthem might have been one of them, and that was kind of an issue because I know that Anthem was causing PlayStations to crash and was basically unplayable for a lot of people. But I guess I'm curious, like, at what point do you deem a refund necessary? Because, like, can you just download a game and play it for 14 days and then
Yeah,
demand a
sometimes
refund?
I think that is the concern, that they don't want people essentially going through this entire game and then just giving it back after they've already beaten it.
Mhm.
I don't really know the protections there for that, as far as like, oh, well, can there be like an in-game benchmark of, oh, you've played this much time of it, you can't return it. At the same time, I do appreciate that they are trying to like really protect consumers and like allow them to. It's like, yes, of course you should be able to like return things digitally. Like, that's not fair if you just like buy it. It's like, oh, well, that was an accident. It's like, too bad, so sad. It's like, no, let them
Yeah.
return that. So that is good, but yeah, it is the balancing act of, yes, you want them to have protection, but also you want to make sure that you're not just letting people get something essentially for free because they can just like beat it fast and return it, which I know was an issue with Steam for a little bit.
I know that's also was a bit of an issue with pre-owned games at GameStop because they had the 2 weeks. If you buy a pre-owned game, you can return it, no questions asked. And I mean, you can beat a lot of games after 2 weeks. So I know that was abused a little bit as a previous GameStop employee, but you know, do what you want. But
Yeah, you do what you
there's-
gotta do.
with physical copies, I mean, as soon as that plastic wrap is taken off, you can no longer return that game. So would that be considered the same thing on your PlayStation for digital downloads? As soon as you start the download, that counts as you opening the game. So,
Right.
but I do completely agree that this says specifically after customers ask for a refund over a game deemed faulty. That should definitely be honored regardless of how much time has gone by. Because if you can't play it, if it's breaking your PlayStation, it has done something that makes it unplayable, or maybe there's false advertising, you should be able to get your refund, no questions asked at that point.
Right. Yeah, and I think it's important for these kind of precedents to be set. I mean, albeit in Australia, but considering how much of the industry and like many industries are moving digital
Mhm.
these days. I know in California specifically, if you still have some time left on like a subscription service, you can get that money back. But that's not a nationwide thing. I know some states don't have that. Um, but yeah, and Australia seems to be good at taking video game companies, especially to task on this. A couple years ago they took Valve for $3 million for similar refund reasons, and now Valve has a pretty clear digital refund policy where I
Mhm.
think it's within a 2-week window and less than 2 hours played, and you get a full refund. So
Yeah, that sounds
yeah,
about right.
Yeah.
I'm just excited. It gives me a chance to use my Australian accent.
hmm
So wait, t-
Can you do this one, Seth? I'm asking. Yeah, can you read the
I
comment
can only
that we
do
got?
one. I can only do one phrase in Australia. So now, just tell me that they were only fined $3 million. You have to say it like we're doing a little play acting here. Okay.
Okay. They were only fined $3 million.
Only.
That's not even a phrase.
What?
That's a word, Seth.
That is from something that actually happened to me in Times Square as an Australian person. Only. So that's my
So
only.
what was
That's
the
it.
initial phrase?
Yeah.
I was
Like,
outside the Lego store. I guess it wasn't in Times Square. I was outside the Lego store. I was looking at the Millennium Falcon. I said, "Oh, it's only $799." And the woman said, "Anyway," and then walked away. Thought it was the best thing ever.
That's okay.
that was worth the store.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I enjoyed that.
Okay. Yeah, we did get some comments on the story. Harlequin of Hate Kick says in a good reference that I like, $3.5 million dues. That must have been a long collect call.
Oh,
So
such a great
a
episode.
good one. And Nick 930930 said Sony's refund policy sucks. If you so much as install the game, which it automatically does when you make a purchase, it's no longer eligible for a refund. Like seriously, what WTF is that nonsense? Bought FF7, but then received a review code an hour later, canceled the download, but couldn't refund it, so I was stuck with a game I didn't even need to buy. So these are
Mm.
problems that you will no longer have if you're an Australian consumer potentially.
It's a bootable offense.
Yeah. That is very weird that it's like if you install it, you
Mhm.
can't return it, but we're gonna make it automatically install anyway. So
Yeah.
good luck.
That's a bit
Okay.
shady.
All right, that's the solution to that is to have your PlayStation hard drive always be full, so it can't. You have to actively go and
Oh,
delete something first, and then you don't
I
have that
what-
problem.
I'm
Yeah.
fully prepared on all my consoles then for something
I
like
am
that to
almost
happen.
always ready for that as well.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
And I think depending on which PS4 model you have, that's pretty easy to do.
Oh yeah.
It's super easy.
So, All right. Well, speaking of consoles, our next story, Cyberpunk 2077, the Xbox One X Special Edition, which I'm not sure if you've all seen, but it looks very cool, will come with free Cyberpunk 2077 DLC. The limited edition will receive the game's first expansion delivered directly to the console. CD Projekt Red said the expansions for Cyberpunk will be as big as those for The Witcher 3. So, in case you're wondering what kind of bonus this is, which is pretty good.
Crazy.
Yeah. I'm trying to. It's like the cool one with the controller comes with it along with the hard
Yeah,
drive.
you get
Mhm.
the limited edition controller.
Mhm.
You get the limited edition console, obviously, is a 1 TB Xbox One X. You get a code for the game that, of course, it doesn't unlock until September when the game
Mhm.
comes out, and you get the DLC. And today it was $299
Which is a
for
steal.
maybe 2 hours, and then it was sold out everywhere. You can't.
Oh.
Wow.
This
Yeah.
is why you should follow the IGN Deals Twitter account so you don't miss out on those
Thank
deals.
you, Casey.
That's
You're
for the
welcome,
plug.
Seth.
We work very hard to bring you the best deals.
Oh, yeah, now we have it up. It looks so pretty.
That's
I
a good
kind of
looking
wish
box.
the controller matched the box a little bit more. Like it matches the underside of it,
Mhm.
but like the gray and black, it looks cool. But the box colors are so much cooler, like the blue and the yellow.
See, I don't like the console at all. Actually, I think it's.
It's
Well,
okay.
no,
Totally
it's
fine.
just like a personal aesthetic thing.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I like it. I don't think it's horrible, but I do. I
Mhm.
like the aesthetics of the controller much more than I
Okay,
like.
so we're opposite
You
on
know-
this,
Yeah.
I guess.
Actually, I completely agree with Seth. I like the aesthetics of the controller better.
Mhm.
Matt,
I
you
like the
gotta weigh in.
colors.
I think I prefer the controller over the console. I think the blue and
Ooh.
yellow is a bit much.
It's
Kind of makes it.
exciting.
Yeah.
I
mean,
want
it's
to know what the chat
It's
thinks.
cool.
What do
That's
you
true.
guys
Let's
think?
yeah, sound off.
Which
Yeah.
other seems better?
But yeah, CD Projekt Red will be taking a similar DLC approach to Cyberpunk 2077 when it comes out, in that they'll announce the expansions ahead of time, and they're big on expansions meaning something. So even if it is something that you have to purchase after the game comes out, like they're gonna be the size of, what is it, Blood and Stone, and what was the second Witcher 3 expansion? Blood and Wine,
Blood and Wine.
Blood and
Mhm.
Wine, and something and Stone. I'm still playing through the main game, so apologies.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while. But yeah, and only 45,000 of these Xbox One X consoles were made.
Ooh.
It's a bit of a shame that these are like the Series X is coming out in a couple months, which is a sentiment that I've seen a lot in our comment section.
Yeah. Well,
That's
oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Right.
Oh yeah, I was just saying, like, that's exactly what I was thinking. It's like, as cool as this is, there's no world where I buy this. Like, I'm
Mhm.
saving my money to upgrade. Like, I
Right.
can't do this. But I guess some people who are maybe thinking of sticking with the Xbox One X for a long time, or for longer, it's going to be a good investment because Microsoft has already committed to like releasing its games also on the Xbox One X. So, so Series X games will also be on Xbox One X for like 1 to 2 years. So you still have like plenty of time of new games coming out, and they're still gonna look great. So, I think that's a good investment if you really, really, really love Cyberpunk
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
haven't upgraded your next yet.
I definitely think it's going to be more attractive to collectors in general, especially, I mean, it's like you said, Miranda, it's the end of the life cycle for the Xbox One and Xbox One X. So you could buy this, be totally fine with not using it, and then just keep it, like put it on display.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was thinking. Like at $299 this morning, this is almost certainly going to be the last special edition Xbox One X. So Cyberpunk is probably going to be a huge game anyway, but the fact that it's the last one means it's going to have a special place for collectors.
Mhm.
And Cyberpunk was like the first game that I think anybody came out and was like, oh yeah, it's just going to work on Series X like better for free. We're just going to upgrade you for free. So I was
Smart
sort of
delivery.
I was sort of considering it because I thought, well, if I get the Series X and I could just like kick this one up to my bedroom, and then
Mhm.
I'd have an Xbox upstairs and an Xbox downstairs, and Game Pass Ultimate's $25 right now for 3 months. So you get all those games. If you
Yeah.
follow IGN deals, you would have known all that.
Look at you, a deals master.
I'm a company man. There's no question about that.
uh, I do like the idea that this sort of, and we've had to do many news stories on this because a lot of people had questions about it, but it does sort of reaffirm that even though it is coming out for next gen consoles, it will still work perfectly fine on current gen consoles because the expansion and the game will both be available on the regular Xbox One X.
Yeah.
That's nice. That's good to know. Again.
There's also that in the footage we have. There's also a branded exterior hard drive, or external hard drive rather,
Mhm.
and the charger that's special just for the controller. That charger doesn't come with the console, so
Mm.
don't think you're gonna get that or feel
Or
like
the
you've been
headset.
robbed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, or the headset or the sweet,
Oh.
Yeah.
That that's how they get you, I guess, if you want a
Mhm.
current gen console 2 months before the next gen comes out somehow.
$299 is a great price. I mean, you get a lot. That
Oh yeah.
controller alone is
Yeah.
$75.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
you do
So
get a lot.
yeah,
Jeez, yeah. Plus the game and the expansion, which is probably gonna be like 20 when it comes out if
yeah,
you don't get a
At
season pass.
least. Yeah.
right,
All
yeah.
right.
Mhm.
Well, cool. We're breezing through these stories pretty quick, so just to take update some of our viewers who may have just popped in, we do have a IGN Summer of Gaming update. The new start date is June 10th, and we now have 4 IGN Expo days full of IGN only exclusives. So the only place you can see those news are on IGN.com and our various channels, including YouTube. All right, next story. A bunch of events have been postponed all today. A planned World of Warcraft Shadowlands live stream that was set for June 9th has been postponed. EA Play, which was set for June 11th, has also been postponed. And the Steam Game Festival, also on June 9th, has been delayed. These have all happened because of, well, let's say Blizzard. Okay, as Blizzard says, quote, more important voices than ours need to be heard, and now is the time to listen. So presumably these events have been pushed back in honor of the recent events that are happening across the country right now. Um, these are. I think this is the right move.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, and
I-
there's. Go ahead, Miranda.
Please go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. I was just going to say also, Guerrilla Collective has also postponed their event as well. And it was originally planned for June 6th to 8th, and it's now going to be June 13th to 15th instead. And the Guerrilla
Mhm.
Collective is going to have a lot of news about Baldur's Gate 3 and some other smaller, maybe indie developer news as well. So everyone is postponing.
Mhm. Yeah. And this is. We've also postponed our events, and I think at this time, this is it. It's been a tough week. It's been a tough week for a lot of people, and there is an argument that I've seen online that these events should happen to distract us from current events, but I don't think distraction is sort of what we need right now.
Right, and like that's the point of them postponing. It's like we shouldn't be distracted. We should be like united and focused on what's happening. That's not to say like don't take time for yourself and like take care of your own mental health. Like it is very important to take breaks and take care of you, but like you can't just like lose focus of like what's really important right now. And in light of that, I think it's really good of them to just say, hey, this stuff is still happening, but it can happen later because there are more important things happening right now.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Yeah, nobody's getting hurt by having to like wait a few days. I mean, I'm sure
Mhm.
there's some people that were like really excited for that specific day, but it doesn't cost anything to wait. Well, I guess it does. It costs time, but still.
Right.
My analogy's falling apart, and I'm sorry.
No, it's all right.
Um,
It's noble effort. But yeah, so there's no replacement time for the Blizzard live stream, but EA announced that their event has been delayed a week from June 11th, and the Steam Game Festival has also been delayed a week from June 9th. So I should have wrote it down, but just add 7 to those dates, and that's when the new dates for EA and Steam are. But we do have some details of what about what Blizzard's live stream would have been about. It's not actually all of Blizzard. It's specifically about the next World of Warcraft expansion, their 8th expansion, Shadowlands. And it was going to be a live stream dedicated to more details about that. Shadowlands was announced at BlizzCon 2019. It was going to be set in the world of the dead, and it actually drops the level cap from 120 to 60. I'm not a WoW person, but do any of you play?
No.
No.
I was
Oh,
gonna
I
ask
should,
the
Absolutely
same
not.
I should have asked
question.
before I done that. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
No, I was curious because like WoW seems like one of those things that I could very much lose myself in, and I
Mhm.
think that's a big driver of why I haven't ever
Mhm.
played it. Because I'm like, I used to when I was in
Alright.
college because I'm very old. I used to play MUDs, and I know what you guys don't. You guys have probably no idea what a MUD is, but it was a It was basically a text based MMO. Like you would go in and you would. Oh, you're familiar with that, Casey?
I'm familiar with it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I basically failed out of college because all I did was play this mud called FIDAR. I would just go in, log in on our like Linux, on our Unix servers, and just telnet into this. So yeah, that's why I haven't. But I feel like maybe I have enough self-control now as a successful macho man shirt wearing person that I might give it a try.
And to
Yeah.
clarify, I have played WoW before. I just never was super deep into it. I think I maybe played like 20 hours, and I was also in college. And then I was like, I don't want to spend a monthly fee, and I stopped playing and then never went back. So,
Yeah.
and that was such a long time ago. I feel like what I experienced is so far removed from what the game is like now.
I don't like the art, so
Oh.
I don't want to touch it. Also, I'm not really about that MMO life. It's just a
Mhm.
lot. It's a lot. And I feel like you can only have one game that is a lot in your life, and I already have
Right.
that game, so
Yeah,
it's
Yeah.
like I'm committed already, is what I'm saying.
I
No, I
totally
hear
feel
you.
you.
I played a lot of
Oh,
Hearthstone, so I'm familiar with the lore.
oh,
Mm,
A
in
little
card game
bit.
form.
Yeah, hey man. I mean,
Still works.
exactly.
I'm a regular Final Fantasy 14 player. That's actually my MMO that I play on a weekly basis, and I just thought it was funny because the last Final Fantasy 14 expansion was called Shadowbringers, and this one's called Shadowlands, and the last
Yeah, it's
14
confusing.
expansion, right? Yeah, and the 14 expansion also kind of took you to an alternate universe. So I'm not saying that there's like a connection there, but yeah, it's a little suspicious. Uh, but
Wait, I have to
follow.
ask you
No, hit
really
me.
quickly. Do you have a house in Final Fantasy 14? Because that was
No,
the one thing I wanted when I was playing it, and then I was like,
I'm.
oh, never gonna happen.
So in Final Fantasy 14, I had friends who played the market. So they
Mhm.
would manipulate the market of different objects and different items that they know, like for example, like culinarians would need to level up,
Hmm.
and made so much money doing that. And they single-handedly bought our house for like the 12 of us that were playing.
Yeah.
Like just by playing the markets, they were just culinarian marketers.
No,
They made
Sounds
millions.
awesome. I gotta
So
start
much.
playing that again.
it's not easy to make a lot of money in 14, but you can do it, and there are people who are very good at it. I made like 1 million once, and I was like, "Oh, I'm finally rich," and I felt like Zoidberg, where like one art, please, you know, and like great impersonation of a poor person. But no, following on with these postponements, other game companies have been showing their respect for the events that are happening right now. Call of Duty, NBA 2K20 have added in-game Black Lives Matter tributes. So, for example, if you log into Modern Warfare right now, it will display a Black Lives Matter message that reads, "Black Lives Matter. Our community is hurting. The systemic inequalities our community experiences are once again center stage. Call of Duty and Infinity Ward stand for equality and inclusion. We stand against the racism and injustice our Black community endures. Until change happens and Black Lives Matter, we will never truly be the community we strive to be." And NBA 2K20 has also given away free Black Lives Matter in-game shirts that your avatars can wear, and people have been doing virtual protests, wearing them through the neighborhood hub world. And these are both step ups from just putting out like a social media blast on the statement, which is also appreciated. But this goes one step further, and I think
Yeah.
that's important to highlight.
Yeah,
And
you're
they're
looking
also the hugest games. Like Call of Duty
right.
and NBA 2K are basically the probably two of the best-selling games every year with the hugest player bases. So
Right. So it's like you're really looking for the action. It's like great to see them doing this. I know Infinity Ward has also put out a statement that they're like doubling down on bans for like racist names and stuff, which is like a huge, huge issue. So I'm glad that they are trying to do more rather than just putting out a statement.
I know there's even
Those kind of things too.
I know Smite actually went through and looked at chat logs over the last, I don't know how much time, but they ended up banning 5,000 different accounts for being racist.
Mm.
And
wow.
they said a lot of those accounts hadn't previously been reported, but they found in their chat logs that they were worthy of being banned.
Hmm. Well, I mean, I'm glad these actions are happening, now rather than never. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now rather than never. That's
Yeah.
yeah.
right. Yeah, we have some comments on the IGN website on this news story. Game Royalty 52 says, "Black Lives Matter is not a statement of exclusion. It's a statement of focus. Don't let anyone dilute or change it to whatever they want it to mean. And if they try to, it's because they don't care about Black Lives Mattering or want them to, period." Which is a really strong comment from our own readership, which is good to see. This is nice,
Yeah.
nice solidarity. But and moving on, I guess we can. Please donate to the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, currently on YouTube. Just hit the little button right above the chat section. But our next story is a little, I wouldn't say lighthearted, consider it depending on how you feel about horror games, but a modder has remade entire portions of PT, the Silent Hills video demo, in Half-Life Alyx. Modder Ambient Druth recreated parts of PT, not all of PT, but parts of PT, including the hallway, the red lighting section. He added in some of Lisa's audio, and there are other elements of PT that are all recreated and playable in VR in Half-Life Alyx.
I
Yeah.
I wonder if they recreated it. So we learned in a story a little while ago about PT that maybe one of the reasons why it felt so creepy and awful was because the game is actually programmed to have Lisa be behind you at all times. So the game
Mm-hmm.
actually even if you can't see her, she's always there.
I hate it. I hate this so much.
So I wonder if they even programmed that in this one.
It's not a complete remake, so maybe not. But the modern Ambient Truth did say that they were gonna add more elements and like continue working on it. So then it's not just sort of something like a one and done thing, but they plan on adding upon it. And the reason why this is doable is because Valve released modding tools for Half-Life Alyx in May, and so now mods are available. Yeah, mods are available through its Steam Workshop program. I want to play this so bad, but I would be scared. I'd be
No
so
way.
scared.
No way. No way in hell.
Mhm.
So I had to play. I played PT for the first time last year, actually. So it's last year. Yeah, it's almost been a year now. Last August, at like I have like a Dota retreat with all my friends. We
Mhm.
go watch the international together.
Aw.
And so someone brought their PS4. They're like, I have PT, and I was just like, oh no. And so we had to take turns playing it, and every time I had the controller, I was just like, oh no. And I'm glad I have the context. Like I know what PT is. I know what the end looks like. It's so much. Anytime I see a PT news story, I just get so freaked out. And
My best friend and I tried to play it for when it first came out, and we just couldn't do it. So we had to we're like, okay, we can't play it, but we can watch someone else do a playthrough of it.
Mhm.
And after that, I had it on my PlayStation for a while when it was unable to be downloaded. So people would want to come over and play it. So I became really familiar with it to the point when we did it. How scary is it for IGN for someone else did a PS not a PS but a VR version of PT, and I was able to play that, and it
Yeah.
wasn't. It's like if you know what's coming and you know exactly what to do and how to do it, it becomes less scary. But the first time I played it, I couldn't do it. I made like through 2 loops through, and I was just like, I'm done. I can't do it.
Seth, you play PT?
I played it when it first came out. I downloaded it, and then I for whatever reason I got distracted, which seems to happen constantly. And I was gonna come back to it, and then my PlayStation eventually died, and I forgot PT was on there, and now I don't have PT anymore, and I'll never have it again. So thank you, Modern Ambient Druth, for recreating bits of this in Half-Life Alyx, because
Yeah. That sucks.
he's not here, but we got my kid Oculus Quest for his birthday,
ooh.
which is gonna come up here. And
Right. Well,
play this game.
That's a really good present.
yeah, good for
I
your
mean,
son.
it's not. Let's be honest here.
It's-
It's not entirely for him. I mean,
IGN has a really cool feature on how PT became one of the first modern urban legends in gaming for this current century, and I highly recommend you all check it out because it's a really cool feature.
The whole history of PT is really interesting, honestly.
Mhm.
Like just seeing how it was like just this weird suddenly released demo, and then it's involved in such a like cool cult thing that people keep
Yeah.
remaking in different ways or like adding on to it. Of course, as we've seen, digging into the files, it's like, oh, well, Lisa was behind you the whole time, and we only just recently learned about that. And it's
Yep.
kind of crazy how jam packed it is
Oh
with
yeah.
interesting things
Mhm.
and terrifying things.
Absolutely. And it's so weird because Kojima, who was in charge of that project, said like, he's like, oh, I don't really like horror movies. You know, he's a big horror buff, but he's like, oh, they kind of freak me out. But I guess it takes those kinds of people to make the best horror games because they know what scares them the most. I don't know.
yeah. And he took basically everybody who he wanted to put in this game and just threw him into Death Stranding.
Yeah.
And then did, like, Kojima out.
Right.
Did I ever tell you about the
It's
time that
maybe there
Kojima pointed and smiled at me at E3, and I still think about it. I was like, oh, like it's like an after show, and I was like, Mr. Kojima, and he did like.
I have a Kojima story as well at
I bet
Gamescom
it's
last
better
year.
than mine.
It's not. It definitely super isn't. But I was walking to get into the elevator from our hotel, and Kojima was staying at our hotel, and it opened, and I saw them. It was like him and someone else with him, and I was like, "Hi." And they just looked at me like I was the weirdest person in the world, and I just like the elevators closed and they kept on going. But that was literally it. I just said hello to him in the elevator.
Did he do this though?
No, I didn't do that. I didn't do anything.
He shot me right in the heart with his Kojima charm.
Really?
Yeah, he did like the finger gun at me and like smiled, and it like warmed my heart.
You guys are best friends.
We're best friends. Just call me yeah.
I will.
That's what I stopped myself. That was the joke I stopped myself from making.
Miranda, nice.
I have a running record of all of Kojima's best friends / boyfriends, so don't worry about it.
I got you. That's okay. Next story after that. The Witcher Season 2 may restart production. UK production studios are opening back up after a prolonged shelter in place from the COVID pandemic, essentially, including Arbor Field Studios, where they filmed The Witcher for Netflix. So depending on how you know how film production works, there's a lot of these studios with sets and backdrops and places where actors can go to act and shows can be made. And it's cool to see that at least in other countries, things are opening back up to a point where they can sort of resume productions on stuff like TV shows.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
haven't watched the original season yet because it doesn't have like a lot of
What?
it doesn't have a lot of nudity and stuff in it.
Oh yeah.
I don't want like my
Yeah.
kids wandering in. Like, ugh,
Right. That would be
awkward.
embarrassing.
It was. We
Uh,
watched the Street Fighter animated movie, the unedited one, and there's like this really awkward scene of Chun Li taking a shower, and I was just sitting there with my son, like, "Hey, man, this is weird, huh?"
I when I
Sorry
was in
about.
when I was in high school, I went and watched the Blood Rain movie with my
Mm.
then boyfriend and my grandpa. And I don't know if you guys remember that movie, but there is a sex scene in a jail, and it was
Oh, okay.
very, very awkward.
Mm.
Did not
Wow.
expect it.
Yeah, there are plenty of sexy scenes in The Witcher, so I could see that being
Yeah.
a little weird.
Thanks, video
Miranda,
games.
Miranda, Casey, you guys watched The Witcher on Netflix?
Yes,
Did you like it?
I liked it. It reminded me a little bit of 90s fantasy shows, kind of like
Mhm.
Beastmaster or Xena. But I still really enjoyed it a lot anyway, and I could
Whoa, you
definitely
just sold it to me by saying it was like one of those '90s action shows.
I loved those when I was like
Yeah, those are
younger. So
phenomenal.
yeah, and it was the first few episodes were especially kind of confusing because they don't explain the time jumping at all and don't do anything to make the characters look different. Like they don't even give them different outfits sometimes. And that's like, okay, you're jumping between many years, but they look exactly the same with the same outfits. That's just you gotta give me something, man. You can't just like. So it took me a while to figure that out, but I think I enjoyed it anyway. I still think it was good.
Yeah, I haven't played The Witcher 3 because I don't like Geralt. It's a very weird nitpicky thing, but I don't think he's an interesting protagonist, and I don't want to play 100 hours as him. So I just was like, nah, I don't want to do that. And but I did watch parts of the show while it was moving, and so I like watched the whole thing almost in a day, and then I finished it up. But I was like mostly watching, but also it's like I'm packing, but I have it on, and so that was pretty much my experience with it.
Mhm.
Casey, I also had an issue with the timeline. I felt like it was really clumsy. Like some stuff
Yeah.
made sense, but then it's just like, why are you doing this? Like this seems silly. Like there's no real reason for you to like make the timeline this confusing.
Yeah,
Right.
But
you had
you
to
do what you
really
do, I
pay
guess.
attention. And
Yeah.
like I said, like you could piece it together. You had to have all the clues to be able to piece it together. So while you're gathering the clues, you're just kind of confused. So
It just felt like we're doing this thing because maybe it's cool, but it doesn't actually have that much of a purpose to make it this confusing.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I liked it though.
I thought the timeline thing was not handled well, but I understood it in that it's supposed to sort of be like, oh, Geralt and Yennefer are very old, you know, like this is a timeline that expands hundreds of years.
Is it supposed to be
So-
hundreds?
yeah, it's supposed to, or you know, I guess within 100 years, but decades of years, decades, right?
Many years.
A
There are
bunch of
many.
years.
Yeah.
Many, yeah. But again, and like in that sense, I thought it was cool conceptually, but yeah, in practice, it could have used a little work. But luckily, I think Casey's right. It did remind me a lot of like Xena more than it did Game of Thrones, and I feel like
Mhm.
that was the absolute right vibe for
Yeah.
that show.
I definitely like the tone. That was fun.
Mhm.
also last criticism, the dragon looked like trash.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's
No,
fine.
yeah.
Like Willow level.
That's right. You love dragons.
But
That's something new I learned yesterday.
Oh yeah, yeah. I remember watching
Fair enough.
yesterday's show. Got
But
out
that
of dragon
implies that
for
there are people who don't love
Casey.
dragons. That doesn't even make
I mean,
sense.
who doesn't like dragons?
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
you like passively like dragons, right?
My youngest son is obsessed with the Wings of Fire books, which are all about dragons. He loves them. I'll tell you all
I
about
don't
his
know. I
favorite
don't know
dragon.
what that one is.
It's like a young adult fiction series just about like a clan of dragons and their trials and tribulations, and you know, he loves it.
Well, maybe once he gets the Oculus, he'll stop caring about dragons.
Yeah, right. He could be a dragon.
All right. Put Lair in VR and make it first person as a dragon. I'm
Mhm,
kidding. That's a
mhm.
terrible idea. Don't do it.
Well, actually, hold on. So, funny enough, if you have a PlayStation VR, you can make almost any game, not a VR game, obviously, but like more immersive, because you can do like a big screen theater mode
Right.
in VR, and it sounds like not actually that big of a thing, but it really makes a difference. Like was gonna say this in the last story, but I played PT like that, and it was way more scary. Uh,
No thanks.
there's a little VR hack for you. If you're lucky and you have both a PSVR and PT on your PlayStation, and you don't have a PC, you can technically play it in VR if you use the theater mode option. But I mean, so a bunch of shows are on hold, right? It's not just The Witcher, right? It was like Cowboy Bebop was one that I was excited for that's on hold. I wonder if it's possible for American shows to fly all their cast and crew members to the UK where the government's opening things up, and maybe then like shows will be able to continue, you know?
Maybe. I feel like, I mean, I don't want them to rush reopening things just because it's like okay somewhere else. I think
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know the situation in the UK nearly as well as I do, at least like in my area.
Mhm.
So maybe it is significantly better. And I know there's like set requirements of like benchmarks that people need to, or I guess communities need to reach before that they can start reopening certain things up. So I think as long as it's safe,
Mhm.
cool. But definitely don't want to haste getting stuff back open just for the sake of like making things earlier than need to and risk exposing much people to getting sick.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, I hate to break it to you, but anonymous TV execs did say that there is a time limit on when these shows should be made. Someone quoted to
Ooh.
Deadline, many productions have to get up and running again in the next 2 months, or they won't get made this year as they rely on summer weather and conditions.
Oh
Ooh.
dang.
That's a
Yeah,
really good point. Like because
Ooh.
so
I was thinking about how anime was being delayed, but anime can be picked up in any weather, so they don't
That
have
is
that
true.
limitation. I
mhm.
didn't even think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
It's tough.
anonymous TV executive, who I like to imagine wearing a Guy Fawkes mask, but maybe he should look into the southern hemisphere, where
Mm.
it's summertime when it's winter up here. I know it's crazy, but
Yeah,
it's
I guess if some of these places are shooting like on location and they're relying on those like the sets being just nature, and if they've already shot so much of whatever their production is somewhere and then they change somewhere else, and it's like everything's different as far as like, the environment, like different trees, you got different animals, you got different, just like everything's different, even if it is also green. That could be an issue.
Hmm.
But
Absolutely.
hmm.
Uh, for listeners joining in, this is News Games and More, and you're in the more part of the news game section. Because it's Friday. Not a lot of news happens on a Friday. Next story, also movies. Sorry, still more. Hereditary Midsummer director Ari Aster says his next movie is a four hour nightmare comedy. It's gonna be. He was quoted as saying it's a nightmare comedy that's gonna be 4 hours long and over 17 parentheses years of age. I don't know what that actually means. It's from an interview. I assumed it meant age rating, so it's gonna be a rated R horror comedy that's over 4 hours long. For those of you unfamiliar, Ari Aster directed Hereditary and Midsummer, uh,
Midsommar, yeah, that's correct.
Midsommar. Both really good horror movies. If that's something y'all are into, any of y'all big horror fans?
So
I go
okay.
Miranda.
Okay. So very quickly on that PT note, during
Mm.
that little Dota retreat, we also watched Hereditary. So I
Hey,
was like, wow, I'm gonna have a heart attack, and thank God I'm sharing a room with somebody, or else I would never be able to sleep. Um, I don't know. It's so spooky. I even knew it was gonna happen. It's so scary though. It's so
yeah,
creepy.
it is an intense movie.
Yeah.
Casey, Seth, Hereditary,
Um,
Midsummer.
yeah, horror movies historically give me nightmares. And in college, I had a friend who really liked horror movies before I was more into it. But the deal was always that I would have to have her sleep over if she wanted to watch a horror movie.
Mm.
And now I don't have that problem as much anymore, and I'm enjoying horror movies more than I used to without getting crippling nightmares every night. And Hereditary and Midsummer, I both enjoyed very much. Hereditary was not the type of movie I thought it would be at all. I think the trailers really misdirect you into like what it's going to be. And Midsummer was an experience.
Mhm.
Ooh. Yeah, I haven't seen Hereditary or Midsummer yet, but I love
Mm.
Hmm.
horror movies. I particularly love gore movies like
Okay.
Tokyo Gore Police or
Okay.
Machine Girl, which are
Right.
great Japanese gore movies. Just Ricky O, the story of Ricky, the greatest, like goriest movie ever made,
Okay.
which I highly recommend. It's
I
not a
don't know what
horror
the
movie.
Riccio?
It's it. Yeah, Ricky O, the story of Ricky. Oh my god, find it and watch it. It's not scary, but it's the goriest movie. It's like hilariously gory.
Who's
Because the
Ricky?
effects
It's a
are
horror
real low
comedy.
budget. Well, no, the best horror comedy is Dead Alive, which is known as Brain Dead outside of the United States. So that's a Peter Jackson movie, which at one point held the record for the most blood ever used in a movie. Like there's a scene where he's like killing zombies with a lawnmower, like just it's hilarious and gory, and that's like it's also like $85 to import on Blu-ray, which is a bummer.
But you
Talk to Lucy O'Brien about that movie. She knows all about it. It's from her
Wow.
homeland.
Oh,
But y'all both have it?
I don't have it. I've only ever seen it one time. It used to be on Netflix for like 2 weeks. It was on Netflix, and I watched it. And I was like, I could loan you Riccio. I can put it in the mail tomorrow. It'll be there. I just ask that you please give me it back.
So we're watching the trailer for Midsummer. I haven't actually seen it, but I know what happens because when Casey watches horror movies, I ask her to tell me about them. Because like I like the setup of horror, and I think like the storytelling structure is really interesting because it's not like a lot of other storytelling because it does rely so much on like surprising the audience. And so I get very curious as to like where things go. I think this is one I could watch because it's not like the same as Hereditary as far as like jump scares and just like that eeriness in that way. It's just more creepy.
Yeah.
So I wanna see it. I just don't like jump scares.
No,
Yeah, jump scares are weak.
They're tough. Yeah.
I'm with Miranda. I like the storytelling aspect of horror movies, which is what draws me into them. Sorry to cut you off, Matt. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. No, go ahead, please. This is where we can just, chill.
The more part.
The more part. My roommate's the same way. She reads Wikipedia entries for horror movies instead of watching them, which I get. That makes sense.
So before I watch a horror movie, if I'm going to watch it with friends, I will read the Wikipedia. Find all the synopsis. Sometimes I will find a compilation of all the scariest scenes and scrub through them so I know what's going to come. Because I seriously just like will watch horror movies like from behind a stuffed animal or a pillow or like a friend's arm. Like I am so bad at it. So if I know what's coming, I'll be okay.
Right.
Like I won't have little panic attacks here and there because I'm just so terrified. But
so Miranda, you're no on horror, but yes on gore, because I know you're a huge Gears of War fan.
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah, gore is totally fine.
Okay, so blood, guts, viscera, that stuff isn't actually okay. All right, all right. Aster actually teased his like comedy desires is a weird way to put it. He wanted to make a comedy for a while. Since 2019, after Midsummer came out, he did a Reddit AMA, and someone asked him, "Would you ever make a comedy?" And he said, "Yes," all caps, and hopefully very soon. And I guess that means now because he's already working on this nightmare comedy. I listed a couple what Wikipedia put down as horror comedies, and I've watched some of them, and I don't know. I don't know how much I agree that these are more horror comedies. I think they're just comedies, but there's Taika Waititi's What We Do in the Shadows, Kevin Smith, who did Tusk, and right, it's not really horror. It's a comedy, but
comedy.
But with vampires, look, it's not. Blame Wikipedia. You edit it. I mean, you edit it out. You say this doesn't belong here. Get this out of here. Yeah.
Sorry.
Kevin Smith, who made Tusk and Yoga Hosers. Sam Raimi, really well known.
Oh my god, I can't believe I forgot about Evil Dead 2.
Yep. Seth, get out of here. You've embarrassed yourself.
I'm done.
Yeah.
Over. My dogs are going crazy. They're so ashamed of me right
now. Evil Dead 2 and Karen Kusama's Jennifer's Body, which has been having some sort of renaissance lately.
I didn't know that.
When I watched Jennifer's Body, it didn't register to me as a comedy, but that might have been because I don't know, when did that movie come out? I think I was in high school.
Absolutely a comedy.
Yeah.
Man, what's wrong with me?
It was a 2009 film. I think someone was telling me, they read a comment about it. It's like this movie was made before it was ready to be out, kind of thing. Like it was great for the time, and it's like something you can appreciate now that you're further away from it, because it's just like such a great like 2009. Were you in high school? Were you there during the emo scene phase, like all that stuff? You're gonna love it. There's Fall Out Boy posters, there's Panic at the Disco references, there's just like that emo band culture, and just like that really awkward time in high school drama stuff. It's just it's so good. It's also bad, but it's like I had a lot of fun watching it. I don't know if I'd say it's a great movie. It's fun. It's a fun.
I think it's fun. It's like like Snakes on a Plane is fun. I don't know if
Right.
it's good, but it's a fun movie to watch.
Oh, it's definitely
Yeah.
not good, but yeah.
It's just like there's some questionable things in it. Like some thoughts of logic just don't make sense, but
Mhm.
it's cool.
Let's looking at some of the comments. How do you commenters like horror movies or horror comedies? Have a favorite one? Tucker and Dale versus Evil is one in the comments that I really like.
Oh yeah.
But again, I don't know. It's really hard because like all of these movies usually read as comedies to me and not necessarily horror movies, and so I'm very interested into see what Ari Aster can do, and maybe it'll be in the same vein where it's more comedy with spooky elements, but I'm not
Right,
really sure.
because like these horror comedies to me read more as they're comedies, but they just have like gothic or dark elements to them. Like they're
Mhm.
not actually horror. Because
Right.
there's
Yeah.
like no way What We Do in the Shadows is horror. Like that's
Well,
Mhm.
that doesn't even
so
touch horror.
I did recently watch Tusk, and I can definitely see the horror elements in that. I mean, it's definitely body horror. I
Mm.
mean, would you consider Human Centipede a horror comedy
Yeah.
or just
You know,
straight up horror?
I mean, I don't know if it's intentionally a horror comedy, but I think it
Yeah.
is a horror comedy,
Yeah,
right?
because it's just such a ridiculous thing, right? And like
Yeah.
Tusk is similar, but Tusk actually had really good monologues, which is a really weird thing to consider for a horror comedy. But I was
Mhm.
watching that, and my partner sitting next to me was just appalled the entire
Yeah.
time, just completely appalled, because you get some really stupid and weird visuals in that movie.
Mhm, mhm.
Oh, YouTube chat is saying Shaun of the Dead. They're loving that.
That's a good
Oh,
one.
Teeth.
That's a great one.
Teeth is so good. I saw that in high school.
hmm
I saw it. Have you guys seen Teeth?
Yeah,
That's the one with the
The teeth downstairs.
the
right,
teeth
right. The teeth.
downstairs.
Yeah. I saw that in high school. I was a freshman in high school when I saw that. If you guys don't know what it is, I'm not gonna explain it. You gotta look it up.
Yeah,
but also, it's
right.
not safe for work. So
No,
Yeah.
no. It's
go
not
your
at
own
all.
way.
I watched
But
that with my high school boyfriend.
I watched it with
It was a fun time.
several guys in high school. We were watching like over some sort of chat. Like I think we did like the press play sort of thing. And so long time ago, and it was kind of
Mhm.
cool. But they were all very having a hard time with it, and then I was just like
Yeah.
over in my room, just like cackling the whole time. It was so good. So good.
I actually okay. Weirdly enough, I do have a body horror freaks me out, right? Which is why not Teeth, but the movie that I always think is Teeth but isn't is Slither. Slither has like instances of body horror and freaks me out. Tusk also actually freaked me out once the big reveal happened. Because I don't know if you know the process.
I haven't watched it.
The premise of Tusk is
Oh, Tusk. I
man.
thought you were
Yeah,
talking about
Tusk. Yeah.
Slither. My bad.
Oh yeah, they both have instances of really weird prosthetics, and it just messes me up.
I think
Comment.
then
Yeah.
you should avoid the movie Tetsuo the Iron Man,
Mm.
which is this crazy art house horror Japanese black and white body horror film that the first time I watched I hated so much, and I hated myself for watching it, and then eventually it grew on me, and I've seen it like 1,000 times now. But it's
Did it?
really, really screwed up.
You just
Wasn't that?
revealed where my
Oh,
friend's D&D got his D&D character's name. So
Oh, really?
I'm gonna look that up. Yeah, he plays.
It's I can't. It's streaming somewhere online. It's only like 45 minutes, but it is weird as hell. Like brace
Okay.
yourself. Yeah.
Okay.
ooh, that's rough. Anyways, look, someone in the PS. What is this? PES all the way. PES Pizza all the way.
PS3 all the way.
PS3 all the way. I was thinking in lead speak. That's my brain. Also, I haven't seen the PS3 in years. Lol, this guy's overrated. Ari Aster. I watched Hereditary. It's a pain in the ass. Let's not even talk about Midsummer. Worst film I've seen last year. It's not
Worst thing
scary,
ever.
and the story is weak. The acting makes no sense, and it's cringeworthy.
What?
Damn.
Yeah.
I really liked it. I thought it
Well,
was good.
PS3 all the way says no way to Midsummer.
Well, that's
Yeah.
fine. Everyone's entitled to their opinions, and it's okay if you don't like something.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Lanuke229 says, think what you like about Hereditary. I personally put it up there with the likes of Rosemary's Baby and Argento's Suspiria, but Toni Collette's performance in that movie was nothing short of Oscar worthy.
Wow.
Hard agree.
I don't know why, but people in the comments have kept bringing up Sonic news for some reason. Did we miss something?
Yeah. We see you, YouTube chat.
We
At
do.
least I do now. because I opened it. But
Uh,
yeah, I don't know what's going on with Sonic.
we have no
He's blue.
Sonic news. He's blue. There's
He's
a
blue.
He likes gold coins.
Sonic the movie 2
Gold
coming out.
coins.
Sonic 2 movie coming out. Sequel
Compelled to
was
go
announced.
fast. Yep.
Yeah, he likes chili dogs in some iterations.
Mm-hmm.
Cyberpunk 2077 DLC news. We've already covered this. If you are interested in the stories in our headlines, which is the news games part of our daily show, just rewind. We covered it all. It's great.
And we were talking about horror comedies, and I can't believe we didn't bring up Cabin in the Woods.
Oh, that's a really good one.
That is a great movie. I recommend
Really
it.
good one. Because I'm bad with time. Oh no, Miranda, please go. Fill up the space.
I thought, what was that game that is pretty much a horror comedy? It's the horror game where those kids go to the place. I think it's also like in the woods, and you have to choose who dies. I forget. Like some people can live based on your choices. It was a really big deal. I forget what it was called.
Wow, now I know what you're talking about. They made Man of Medan their second game, which I remember better than their first game.
Until Dawn?
Until Dawn.
Is that true? Is that right? That sounds right. Yeah, the survival game. Yes. Like that. Some of the stuff that I saw, I felt like it could have been funny. I liked watching people stream it, but it looks more spooky than actually funny. But I feel like that looks like a setup for. Oh, thank you guys, everyone in chat for saying the right answer. I feel like that could have been a good horror comedy setup, but I think it is just more so spooky.
Yeah, that was a weird one because it had like famous actors in roles, like including like Rami Malek and Hayden Panettiere, whose name I always thought was great to say.
I actually played that with a group of friends over Halloween just this past year for the first time, and it was man, that ending was disappointing.
You guys want to know something about Until Dawn?
Yes.
Yes.
It's $9.99 for Xbox right now.
Oh man.
The deals, man, come through.
Oh, hey, and if you want to know how to get the good endings, we most likely have a guide for that on IGN Wiki. So head over there after you buy it through the deals.
Look at that synergy, right? That's
oh my goodness.
The dream team. No, actually, and you know what? Let's just keep free associating. Supermassive Games, the developers of Until Dawn, their second anthology series has that actor who appeared in Midsummer, and also Netflix's Bandersnatch. Remember that guy? I don't know. I don't remember his name, or I don't know his name rather, because I never knew it. But
we do have a guide, but there's some. So the thing that you guys should know about IGN guides is that we do sometimes allow people to put their YouTube videos in there when they contribute, and the thumbnails for the contributed videos are wild. I just need to let you guys know that. So please go look at any. I think I'm on chapter 9 of the Until Dawn guide. If you go there, scroll down to. This is just okay. I'm sorry.
Go there right now.
These thumbnails for these YouTube videos that were embedded at some point are just really funny. They're just really weird. Anyway,
I know we had a problem with weird thumbnails for Monster Hunter YouTube videos and Monster Hunter World, and people were adding thumbnails, and it was a Monster Hunter video, but the thumbnails would be like a half-naked anime girl, and it's like, why? I don't.
Yeah.
Who are you trying to attract with these thumbnails? I don't. You're right. These
a
are
lot of people actually.
Actually, people who are into half-naked anime girls.
But for Monster Hunter guides,
I think the Venn diagram. I think there's a huge overlap.
Why would that make you think it's a better video?
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, let's recap some of the big stories for today. If you buy, or if you were lucky enough to snag the Xbox Series X Cyberpunk Limited Edition, you will get the free Cyberpunk 2077 expansion, the first one at least, with it when it comes out, not at launch, because the game's not out yet, sadly. We want it, but it's not here yet. Sony got fined 3.5 million Australian US dollars for their dollary dues, Australian dollary dues for their unpopular digital refund policies, which were like no refunds basically, which feels bad,
especially when it's for a game that's broken.
Yeah. So that's not great. Half-Life Alyx, an evil diabolical modder, made a PT in VR, like full VR, not just like simulated VR, and that's messed up. You don't like that.
Mm-mm.
And and we have an update on IGN Summer of Gaming, which is our big June event, right, for games. IGN Summer of Gaming has been delayed, but we now have a new date. It's June 10th, and we will have 4 IGN Expo days full of IGN only exclusives. They are June 10th, June 11th, June 12th, and June 15th. We previously announced it to begin earlier this month, but due to current events and out of respect for George Floyd's funeral, we have decided to delay it to June 10th. However, once that date hits, you can come check out all of IGN's channels, the website, YouTube, Twitter, for all the latest updates, including exclusives that you can only see here. The story is currently up on IGN.com for the full schedule, but on June 10th, you will get a pre-show charity stream with Doom Eternal Speedrunner. We will have our first IGN Expo debut with exclusive reveals, trailers, gameplay demos, developer interviews, and hands-on impressions. What are some of those reveals? Well, we have unannounced classic revival from Merge Games, unannounced game from Fabraz, unannounced game from Funcom / The Outriders, and unannounced games from Arcade 1-Up. Why are they unannounced? Because we're gonna announce them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pew, pew, pew.
We'll also have trailers for Beyond Blue, Chivalry 2, Dual Universe, Pathfinder Kingmaker, Void Train, Wasteland 3, Werewolf the Apocalypse. Macho Man, do you have anything to say about those?
Oh yeah. 360 degrees. Oh yeah.
I don't think I like that actually. And
What, 360
we'll have
degrees? Come on now.
yeah. And we'll have gameplay. GTFO, the co-op 4-person.
Oh, that game is so cool.
Yeah, it's
What is it?
dope. It's a go Seth.
I can't even explain it. Like, it's so to explain it, it sounds so complicated, but when you play it with a good crew, it
Mhm.
is one of the most excellent co-op experiences you can have. But the thing is, everybody has to be on board. Everyone has to be committed to the cause.
Yeah,
And if they are, it's incredible, and it's spooky as hell.
it's like a
Tense, very tense.
hardcore Left 4 Dead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, other gameplay reveals. Mortal Shell, the Souls-like game that got a really hyped up launch trailer. Did you guys see that?
Mm-mm.
Oh, it's very cool. I
How could I
100%
not?
recommend.
How do I not know about that?
Oh, I 100% recommend checking it out. It was developed over years in secret, but it looks, I don't
Cool.
know, it looks ultra quality, I guess, is the best way to put it. It looks very good for something that was known about until a month ago. But we'll have exclusive gameplay world premiere on June 10th at the IGN Expo. We'll also have Observer System Redux, an updated version of the hit sci-fi dystopian thriller Observer. We'll have Second Extinction and a new look and interview for Yakuza Like a Dragon. Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, all exciting stuff on.
Exciting stuff.
Yeah,
Hell
comment.
yeah.
Are you excited for Summer of Gaming?
And while we wait for your comments, I have another small bit of news for any Pokemon fans out there. It's really lukewarm news. It's not actually that exciting. But hey, if you are playing Pokemon Sword and Shield right now, you can get a mystery gift of a hidden ability, Galarian Corsola. And that is exciting because Galarian Corsola is super good and fun to play with and competitive, and you can make people rage quit. You give it an Everstone so it doesn't evolve, a super high defense, has cursed body, so if it hits you, their move gets disabled and then they can't hit you anymore. It's a fun time. Go check out that mystery gift to get your Galarian Corsola in Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Mm-hmm.
Yay, Pokemon.
Good stuff. But anyways, more Sonic in the comments. I don't know.
I don't understand.
Did someone tweet out that IGN was going to announce Sonic stuff on today's show? Because nobody told me.
Look, I'm gonna
It's
go out
one
on a
person.
limb. Yeah, this person's avatar is Sonic, so I think.
So we got
Ah.
one Sonic person here. We got one Disney Infinity person here.
Yes.
Mhm, mhm.
Also,
Keep an
I
eye on
wanted
you
to.
both.
I wanted to.
Wow.
Somebody in the comments, they said, "Oh, that guy on the left is definitely wearing shorts and long socks," and I don't know how you knew that. From here up, that is 100% the case. They're black socks and shorts. Yeah,
and shorts. Well,
just
yeah,
vibing.
they have your number pegged. Seth.
I guess I thought I was shaking things up over here, but
Too
predictable.
Someone says, haha, PlayStation going bankrupt. hate to break it to you, but I don't think 3.5 million Australian dollar dues is enough to bankrupt PlayStation.
No, that's probably what like one day of their E3 showing would have cost if they had gone to E3. So
yeah, and it's not to highlight.
That's not true. I don't know anything
Well,
about
it. Anyways, welcome. That has been News, Games, and More. With Seth, Miranda, Casey. I don't know where I'm pointing. I hope it's correct. I don't think so. But thank you so much for joining us. We do this every weekday, starting at 4 p.m. Pacific time. Join us on Monday for the next week's show.